There you go. It's all yours, mate.
Okay, thanks a lot, Andy. Well, hello everybody. Thanks to Andy and the team for inviting me along here. I can't remember how many this is, third or fourth time, but I've thoroughly enjoyed every one of them. So you've got me for this evening for as long as you want me to be here. I am responsible for software development at Sdr Play, and so I'll be able to tell you anything I can about software side of things. I know I don't know too much, as I just mentioned, about antennas and aerials. So if you've got questions about which type of those you needed, I'm probably not the best person to ask. But if anybody has a question that is RSP related that I can't answer, I'm very happy to take that away and get you an answer from other members of the team who are not here today. Now, I didn't really, because I've kind of been here before and sort of spoke to many of you, I wasn't going to kind of go through the history of the company, but just to be very brief, we've been going since the RSP1 was launched in 2014, August the 1st, 2014, and we've had a number of products that we've released since then. It's been quite a learning experience, and so each product that we launch in itself has benefits over the previous version. We've always made sure that the products sort of continue developing and pushing forward the technology as best that we can. So the hardware team are focused on adding things like hardware notch filters and different filtering, pre-selection filtering, bias tees, all that kind of stuff. And I am responsible for our own software, making sure that it not only supports the hardware features, but also a lot of the software features that we've been asked to add from the community over the years. And it's been quite a list. And given that I'm the only person doing it, it's not progressed at the rate that anybody really would have wanted, not progressed at the rate that I wanted, and not progressed at the rate that the community really has wanted. So we're doing our best with the numbers of people that we have, like I say, we just continue to push the products forward. I will go through very quickly the products that we have available. Let me just pull up. Hopefully you can see that web page. If any of this is not very clear, you can always go to our website and have a look through this stuff at your leisure yourself. But we have three main products that we support at the moment: the RSP1A, the RSP DX, and the RSP Duo. The software that we provide still supports the RSP1, the RSP2, and the RSP2 Pro. But these are the three current devices that we sell. On our webpage, if you go to sdrplay.com/products, you'll see that there are links here to each of the devices, and there's also some videos and some reviews of the products. And there's a table over in this left-hand side here, which I think is particularly useful because it gives you a kind of a quick look-see to see which for your particular use case which one of the products is best suited for it. I always tell people when they're asking about which RSP is, don't look at don't go for the cheapest, don't go for the most expensive. Look at what your use case is. What bands do you use? How many antenna ports do you need? Have a look at all that kind of stuff, and that will naturally take you to whichever of the products. So I would advise people to do it that way around. Most people start with the RSP1A. It's our entry-level product. It's as far as frequency range goes and the amount of visible spectrum you can see, they all do the same. So they will all go from 1 kilohertz to 2 gigahertz, continuous spectrum coverage. They will all give you up to 10 megahertz of visible spectrum. But they've all got kind of things about them so you can use them all in that mode, but they've all got things about them that are slightly different to give you the, that's where you got the choice of which one to use. So the 1A is a kind of I would say is sort of a general purpose SDR. The DX has got a special mode below 2 megahertz. So if you do a lot of work below 2 megahertz, it's got a special mode where it can, it's got some strong out of band rejection filters there, and also some so you can pick out signals better down below 2 megahertz. And the Duo has got, obviously it's got 2 tuners, so there's a number of things you can do with the Duo. Like I said before, they are time and phase synchronous, so you can do things like diversity, where we take the 2 inputs at the same frequency, and we can use one of the inputs to reduce the noise on the other input, to give you a better signal to noise ratio. And you can also use them as two completely independent tuners. So up to 2 megahertz of visible spectrum, not the 10, but up to 2 megahertz of visible spectrum for each tuner completely independently. So one tuner can be doing, VHF, one tuner can be on HF. They're completely independent in that regard. So, but you need just one USB cable, one USB port, and you get the functionality of two devices. So, like I said, have a look at the videos, have a look at the reviews, think about what your use case is, and then that will naturally take you to one of those three products. Before we kind of go on and talk about software, is there anything on those hardware products I can answer now? Any questions about that? I don't know how you do it, Andy. I don't know how you allow people to.
Yeah, no, they just have to unmute themselves.
Okay.
And then if they have a question, they can just ask the question. But they have to unmute themselves.
Okay.
I'd ask them after the question to mute themselves again.
Right.
So we don't get any background noise on your presentation, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely fine. So I'll just hang for a few seconds. If there's anybody has I can't see the list, all the people's faces, so I don't know if anybody's sort of raising their hands or anything. But like I said, all the information's on our website. If I can't answer a question now, send me an email at software@sdrplay.com. It'll come straight to me, and if I can't answer it, I'll get the answers from one of the other members of the team for you.
Incidentally, what I'll do, Andy, is I'll scan, and if people raise their hand or put the raise hand reaction on, then I'll make you aware of it, or even in the chat, I'll monitor things. So
okay.
If there is any questions or anything, I can sort of raise it to you.
Okay, excellent. So if we don't have any questions on the hardware, I'll move on to the software. So obviously the key thing with software defined radio is obviously the two need to work hand in hand. Not much point having the best hardware radio in the world if the software is not very good, and vice versa. So we a few years ago now, must be 3 or 4 years ago now, we had the opportunity to acquire the code to a previously commercial application called Studio One. It was a commercial application. I think it was like a 200 and something euro application with that had like a hardware key, a dongle, and it was very widely known as being great for its audio post-processing capability. And so we had the opportunity we didn't have our own software at that point. We were writing libraries and plugins for other people's free software. So we acquired Studio One, and we renamed it to be Sdr Uno, and that's what I'm responsible for. I'll just quickly take you through the roadmap for Sdr Uno. Let me go back to the website a minute. Hopefully you can all see this. This is all available on our website. This is sdrplay.com/sdruno-roadmap. And the current release of Sdr Uno is 1.40.2, which has been out for some time. And the version that I've been working on, which is 1.41, is the one I'm going to show you this evening. And that is going out within I would say within a week. That's going to be out as an open beta. So, and I'll explain why that's going out as an open beta shortly. But you will be able to get your hands on this if you so wish, and we really appreciate any feedback you have on it. The biggest thing with 1.41, which I'll show you shortly, is it has a new generic scheduling function. So this function enables you to do basically anything in Sdr Uno on an unattended basis. So you can set up multiple events, single events, repeated events, every hour, every week, every month, every day. And you can do pretty much whatever you can do in Sdr Uno, you can do within the scheduler. So you can start plugins, you can start, you can do IQ recordings, you can do audio recordings, all this kind of stuff, which we'll cover shortly. But that's the big thing in 1.41. We've got a couple of other little things that we've added, but I'll show you those when we see the software. Then we've got 1.42, which has the big feature about 1.42 is we're going to have a remote function. So there'll be there's a new TCP server software that's already in development. So 1.41 and 1.42 are sort of being developed in parallel, which is nice. So there won't be a huge delay between 1.41 and 1.42. So the server will run on any platform. A lot of people really want them to run on the server to run on things like Raspberry Pi, but it'll run on anything like a Mac or Windows or Raspberry Pis or any Linux-based machine. And then the client is inside Sdr Uno, and so you can operate the device from anywhere, either anywhere in the world. It can be on your local LAN. We've got some quite nice technology inside the server, such that you'll be able to do pretty much most of what you can do on a LAN, you'll be able to do across a WAN, which I don't really know too many other people are doing that right now. Normally, when you start accessing SDR data across a wide area network, you're very limited to the bandwidth of the wide area network, and you can't do the sort of, you can't look at 10 megahertz of spectrum like you can when you're on a local network. But we've got some quite nice technology that's being developed to support that. So you'll pretty much be able to do almost anything you can do on a local area network, you'll be able to do on a wide area network. There'll be some caveats to that, obviously, for some of the things. Diversity, I think we're kind of, I think that will be probably limited to the LAN, but I don't know, that technology is still in development. So, but that we've already seen some internal builds of that, and I'm really impressed with how that's progressing. So 1.42 should hopefully not be too far behind 1.41. And then 1.43, we're going to go back and have a look at the way that the scanner operates. We've got some ideas to how to maybe slightly improve the scanner performance, and from some feedback that we've gathered over the last, actually, I don't know how long the scanner's been out there now, probably it was before lockdown. So a couple of years, probably the scanner's been available. We've got a lot of feedback from people who are using it. So we're adding things like, it'll start to collect some statistics. You'll be able to specify different thresholds for different frequencies. So there's a lot of stuff coming for the scanner, and also some more customization. So at the moment, people who use Sdr Uno say, well, I wish I could have my own sequence of band buttons, or I wish I could have my own audio bandwidth setups. So you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to create your own set of band buttons. You'll be able to create your own buttons inside Uno to more customize it to how you want to work with it. And then after 1.43, we go straight to 2.0, which is across platforms. So we're going to Mac OS and Linux. and everybody asks me when that's coming, and I can't say, but it's all I can say is point you to the roadmap and say this stuff is pretty much my life. It's what I now work on pretty much most of the time, day and night. So I want to get there as quick as anybody else. So that's pretty much our roadmap over to 2.0. If you go to our website, sdrplay.com/Sdr Uno, this is where you'll get all the information on it. There's the user manual. There's a video on how to get up and running with it, and obviously a download button for the current release of software. And within a week, you'll see on here a way to get hold of the open beta of 1.41. Anybody have any questions about the roadmap before I go in and show the software? I mean, obviously, obviously after the presentation, I can take questions as well. But I just wondered if anybody had anything specific on the roadmap itself.
Yeah, Jean-Louis speaking here. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that roadmap already locked? I mean, is everything locked?
Is it locked?
Yeah, locked. I mean, there is nothing will be changed. This is the roadmap, and we will not move anywhere to another functionality or something like this.
I would say from major functionality, I would say it's pretty fixed. I mean, these are really what's captured in the roadmap is major functionality. With each release, we are always adding other stuff in. Okay. But the great thing about having things like the plugin system is that you don't have to wait for Sdr Uno releases for some things. You know, people ask us about decoders. We're not in the business of writing decoders, but it'll be probably quite straightforward for someone to make a plugin decoder.
Yeah.
You know, for example. But yeah, I would say for major functionality, because we're quite desperate to get to 2.0, I would really not want to add anything in here that delays getting to 2.0, because I'll probably be lynched.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Got a very quick question. I don't want to dwell on it because there's probably going to be more information about it later. The ability to connect or remotely connect into one of these in a different location. Obviously, my focus at the moment is around the aircraft aspects, as I mentioned earlier. And the ATC do happen to have areas like Biggin Hill, like Headcorn, smaller airports or whatever. Would it be feasible to think that they could actually have one of these operating 24/7 in one of those locations, and other squadrons around the country could dial into it?
Well, there's lots of. I mean, already there's a kind of a grid of SDRs that are always sort of collecting aircraft data.
The issue that the ATC have is all around safeguarding and the fact that there's facilities for people to chat to each other on a lot of these websites and whatever, not websites but tools, as it were. Then they wouldn't allow a cadet of say 13 or 14 to actually interact with it while they were alone. They'd have to be supervised. But if they were to set up their own and only allow their own people into it, then they wouldn't need to be supervised, because it'd be one secure location going to the next. That's what I'm thinking about. There's always a safeguarding issue in the background. So it's just the feasibility of someone in Scotland maybe dialing into one of your devices at Biggin Hill that was currently monitoring air traffic control information from there.
Yeah, once you've got the remote connection done, then this is a receive only system, so there's going to be no transmissions into that zone. But
it's just purely for monitoring, so they can experience what it's like to have maybe slightly. If they're in the Outer Hebrides or something, they get once or twice a day.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily need it at Biggin Hill. I mean, I'm in Swale in Kent, and I pick up aircraft in Hull, it's got a 300. I mean, depending on your antenna and because it's a line of sight system, so depending on how you've got your antenna set up, you'll probably pretty much get 350, 400 miles quite easily.
I think from their perspective, it will be the achievement of people at Biggin Hill setting it up and monitoring it and maintaining it, and that it's not necessarily what can be done technologically, but what the cadets can do and how they can actually get something from it. So I think you've definitely answered the question that concept of remoting in is feasible. I would assume it would be the size of the servers that would be down to how many concurrent sessions it would actually handle.
Yeah, I mean, remotes, ADSB, I need to look at the data requirements.
Okay.
That maybe that needs to be something that needs to be looked at. I know the way it works at the moment is that there are lots of SDRs that collect data locally, and then they send that data out across the internet in a different format. So all the processing is done at the local side, and that's turned into messages, all these different messages that the ADSB system picks up. And then that's obviously a much smaller data set that can then very easily be sent across the internet to anywhere. So that's quite straightforward. But sending the IQ data from one location back to another location to do ADSB processing, I'd need to look at the date requirements for that.
Okay, yeah. So if I've caused a problem.
No, it's just, I mean, it's an interesting, I mean, like I say, you can pretty much do anything you like with SDR, but it's all about understanding the use case and what the data requirements are.
Yeah.
And I think once you can do that, then you can sort of go, okay, well, it will work in this scenario, but it won't work in that scenario. But I mean, I know what the ADSB signal looks like. It's a very small signal. It's only 50 kilohertz wide, but it can appear anywhere within a 2 meg span. It can occur. So the center frequency is 1090 megahertz. It can occur anywhere between 1089 and 1091. So, but it's only a 50 kilohertz wide signal.
So you need to all of that to pick out the.
So you need to cover that wide spectrum. You need to have all that so you can then analyze it and find out where all the signals are within it.
Okay.
So it'll just need a bit of thought. That's all. It might be possible, but it depends. We'd have to see when we've got 1.41 out the door. Then the next thing I'll be doing is I'll be doing this sort of stuff. I'll be taking the server and saying, okay, what data can we get from that to the client? What processing can we do? So that'll be the next phase.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Right. Okay. So let me So let's see. Where are we? Monitors. So this is Sdr Uno 1.441. You'll probably say, well, it doesn't look very different to any other version, but you might have noticed that there is an additional window down the bottom here, which is our scheduler window. Like I say, if you can't really see it very well at the moment because of the resolution of the screen, then don't worry. Within a few days to a week, you'll be able to get hold of this yourself and have a play. But the basic concept of the scheduler is that you can add an event. Hopefully you can all see that window there. You can add an event, and it can be either a single event or a repeatable event, hour, days, weeks, months. And it can have either an end date by date. It can have an end date after a number of occurrences. So you can say, do this thing 3 times and then stop, or you can say, do it forever. And the system will code for that. You can, down here, there's different functions. So I can either start the stream, I can record the stream, or I can run a scan. And they're really the only 3 functions that you actually need within Sdr Uno for the scheduler. So you can choose to do one of those 3. you can load in a profile. So if you've got a profile set up for a particular band, maybe you've got a profile for HF, maybe you've got another profile for VHF or FM radio or UHF. Each event can have its own profile. So you can customize the entire Sdr Uno system for each event specifically for that particular use case. And then on top of that, you can choose to load in a plugin or plugins. So I could do Adsb or DAB or audio recorder, or I could do, in fact, what I have been playing along with is I've been opening up DAB and audio recorder. So I can actually record DAB channels on a sort of, every hour, the system will just wake up and start up the DAB player and start recording DAB into an MPEG file for me. So I can do all of that kind of stuff. Then you've got things like specifying which frequency the event should be at. If you've got multiple VRXs, you can set them here. And then the last thing it will do is it will alert you. So if you're on Windows 10 or above, you'll get a Windows notification, however many minutes you tell it that the event is starting. Because obviously this is an unattended system. If you're in the middle of doing something, it'd be kind of nice if Uno said, well, in a few minutes, I'm going to need the system because I'm going to start an event. And so if you've got Windows 10 or above, you'll get a Windows notification. If you're on Windows 7 and below, then you will still get a notification, but it'll appear inside Uno itself. That's the way the system works. And I can add many of these events. I can specify, I can have, just do DAB, an audio recorder. I can just say play. That'd be an event there. I can add another event, and I can do something completely different. I can load a profile, which does, let's say I've got medium wave here, and I want to do an IQ recording of medium wave, so I'll do that as another one. Maybe I want to do that at midnight. And oops, maybe I want to do that close to midnight, half an hour, and maybe I want to do that every day for the next 4 days. So you can do that sort of stuff here. And then when the system's enabled, then these events will start triggering. When they're running, the background of each event will go green. If there's a conflict, so if you accidentally set up two events that collide with one another, when the collision occurs, the one that can't run will be highlighted in red. And you'll be given.
If you're using the Duo, could you have two running?
Yes. So if you start up two instances of Uno, a master slave, you can have two schedulers.
Right. Okay.
One on each tuner.
Lovely. Thank you.
Yeah. So that all works. So yeah. So that's pretty much the scheduler function. It's taken me quite some time to implement. It's kind of a bit sad that I've covered it in about a minute, 2 minutes. But there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into that thing. But like I say, so this is the reason why we're going to put it out for open beta, and we really want to get as much feedback on it as possible. Because the scheduler touches every part of Uno, you can imagine that there's a lot the risk of unintended consequences of putting a feature like this in is that I've accidentally done something to one of the other functions, and so we'll get it out for open beta and hopefully get a lot of feedback in, so that when hopefully everybody will say, yeah, it's great, it works, and then we'll just release it. But obviously, if we find any issues, we'll get those fixed. In addition to the scheduler, we've got some additional auto layouts. So I can specify, I can just have the top half of the screen used, or I can have just the bottom half of the screen. I can have a layout that doesn't have the scheduler, because people may say, well, that's a function I'll never use. So, okay, well, you don't have to have it visible. You don't have to have it there. And then you can then pick an auto layout that does have the scheduler in, and then it appears. You'll notice that there's no recorder function, IQ recorder panel. That's because that functionality has been built into the scheduler. So all the same functionality that was there before to manually record IQ files is all there. You can still record IQ files manually. You can still play them back and analyze them. All the functionality is there. It's just in a different window. It's in the scheduler window rather than the standalone recorder window that was there before. So we've got some more auto layouts. This time it takes account of the taskbar. People did complain that the auto layouts before didn't take notice of the taskbar. If you have it on the side or the top or the left, it didn't take account of that. It does now, so that should no longer be an issue. We've added a backup restore of the settings. So some people have said that sometimes they get a corruption of the Sdr Uno ini file. So what we would advise people to do once they've got 1.41, get it working as you want it, back up the settings to like a golden settings. And then if you ever have trouble, you've always got a setting, and in any file you can go back to rather than having to go back to the factory default settings. So there's backup restore of the settings. That's new. There's also a screenshot button. So when people come through to support, one of the things that we always ask for is a screenshot, and not everybody knows how to do it. So we've got a screenshot button, and it will save it to a file which you can then just attach to your ticket, which really, 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 really helps us out. There's nothing more important to us than being able to see how Sdr Uno is configured when we're trying to answer support tickets. And so it'll help you, it'll help us. So it was just a feature that we decided to add. We're a couple of plugins I need to mention. So we have a new plugin with this release, which is an Adsb plugin. I don't know if I've got an antenna connected. Let me just see. Let me get rid of that window. Let me make that one a bit over there. No, I haven't got an RSP. Well, damn, I haven't got RSP connected properly. Hang on a minute. Let me just do that. I don't know this. I don't think this is going to work because I've been messing about with hardware drivers, and I've got a feeling this isn't going to work. Oh, damn, it's not going to work. Live demos, bane of my life. That gonna load? No. So that's frustrating. Hang on a minute, I can very quickly fix this. So yeah, so we've got the new a new plugin for Adsb. So we used to, well, in fact, we still have we've got a fork of an application called Dump 1090, which some of you may be familiar with. It used to run in a command prompt, and over time, the command prompt the window could get corrupted, and all sorts of nasty things would start to happen. So we decided to take that functionality and just wrap it inside a plugin, which we've been testing for a little while now. It seems to work nicely. It's got a built-in the same built-in web server, so you can see a map, and it also will connect to things like virtual radar server, so that you can actually plot it on a, and then you can, from virtual radar server, you can then send that data off to Flight Radar 24 if you so wish, or do stuff like that. So let me just finish doing this.
So, Andy, is this just going to show you the plots of the aircraft that you hear personally, rather than everybody around the country?
Yeah. So this software basically shows you. Hang on a minute. No. This software will show you all of the aircraft that your antenna and your RSP is picking up. And we've got some instructions on, here we go, that's better. Hang on a minute, oops. Okay, why is that so big? Ooh. Hang on a minute, I need to just shut that. Where is it, that one? Right. Yeah, so it'll just show you aircraft that you're picking up. So let me just bring that over to here. Okay. I need to just hang on a minute. Oh, boy. Come on. My monitors. My monitors are all set up, so this is all running. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to show this now. Damn. But we will do a video on this. When we send this out for open beta, we'll send this. We'll get this video done, and you can see. But basically, it's Dump 1090 in a plugin window, and you'll have to take my word for it that it does work. I don't know what's going on now. Maybe I shouldn't stream from my development system. What else have we got? We've also got an update to the DAB plugin. So I don't know if many of you have used the DAB plugin. It's been a bit unreliable. It's had some problems when switching stations, and some of the audio hasn't been great. So we've put quite a bit of effort into sorting that out. So the DAB plugin has also had an update, and that's also improved in 1.41. Plus, we've got quite a number of bug fixes, and so that's pretty much 1.41 really. But the plan is at the moment is that we're going to we've got to finish off a few little bits and pieces and then get that out as soon as possible it should be within the next week. So I don't know if anybody has any questions specifically about that release.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Andy, good afternoon from Brasstown, North Carolina. Larry, N5FPW.
Hi.
The scheduler has been of real interest to a lot of us over here on this side of the pond. And a couple of questions regarding the scheduler. I missed the very first piece of it. We're real big into AM DXing, and obviously with an RSPDX, the HDR function has really been a godsend. If I schedule a IQ recording, say of the AM band, will that HDR function kick in, or do I have to be there to kick it in, or is it something that will be automatic?
Yeah. So the way you would do it is you'd have an HDR profile, and you just specify that HDR profile for the event, and the event manager will load the profile, so completely unattended. You can set up an IQ recording of the AM band in the middle of the night. You don't have to be there. It'll just do whatever you want it to do.
Okay. Second question. Here in the States, we have a set of 6 AM radio frequencies known as graveyarders. There are about 150 stations on each one of these AM graveyarders. And they're a real challenge. And would it be something that is built into the scheduler to say put 6 VRX receivers up for each one of those frequencies and have that all scheduled to say come up at the top of the hour? Could that be done inside the scheduler? Or does it have to be they're all within the AM broadcast band,
right?
From
Okay.
about 1230 to 1490 kilohertz.
So what? Okay, what do you need to do on those? I mean, what
basically
so,
what? Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And basically, all we'd be doing is interested in just recording each one of those 6 frequencies instead of a full IQ run.
You mean the audio of each of them?
Correct.
Oh, yeah. So you'll be able to set up. You'll be able to set up. Now, this. Okay, so the way the scheduler works is that it'll only. It's a bit like the memory panel. So there's only one scheduler per instance of Sdr Uno.
Okay.
So you can't set up multiple events on different VRXs at the same time.
Okay.
Now,
all right.
I can see you'd need and the audio recorder. So the problem is that the plugin system, you'd need 6 audio recorder plugins and you can only load one at a time. So no, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay, that's fine. Hey, and by the way, thanks for the screenshot. We've been wanting that one for a while, so appreciate it.
Yeah, it's this has been the first instance, the first version of the scheduler, which I had some time ago. I just wasn't happy with it. I was really struggling with it. I went away for a weekend, ended up in myself and my partner ended up in a holiday home just for it was literally not that far from here, but when we got to this place, it was literally just a building on a farm, and we got there. I took my notepad. I was intending just to listen, just to sort of tune in on schedulers for the weekend. We got there, and the farmer says, "Oh, by the way, there's going to be a demonstration of African drums on Saturday afternoon." And I'm like, you know what? I've come here to focus on schedulers. But the thing was, I was struggling. We went to this event. We joined in on the African drums, and as soon as the event was finished, I knew how to do this. And so that's why it's taken so long. I basically come back from that. I came back from that weekend, and I deleted everything that I'd worked on and started again. And this is what the result is.
You had it drummed into you then?
I had literally had it drummed into me. And there's probably some embarrassing photos up on Facebook of me getting involved on the drumming. But basically, yeah. But so just as a little explanation as to why it's taken so long, I wasn't happy with the way it was working. It was very limited. You could only set up certain events. It was you couldn't set up events that far into the future. It was pretty clunky. I was really not happy about releasing it, but we were kind of like, well, we haven't released anything for quite a while. We've kind of got to get this out there, but I really wasn't happy with it. So, like I said, I kind of went away, came back, got the idea of how to do this. But it does work. It does work. The plugin system, the way Uno is set up, the plugin system, the memory panel, the scheduler are all single instances for a given Sdr Uno instance. Whereas you've got multiple VRXs, these other things sort of are fixed to be a single instance. Now, I don't really. I'm already thinking of a possible solution to what you have, but it won't be for this release, but there may be something we could do going forward that might do something along the lines of what you want. But that needs a little bit more thought. But I mean, some of the scheduler has been done with the AMDXs in mind. You know, I know that you kind of, you know, recording stuff, recording IQ files at the top of the hour, all this kind of stuff. That has been sort of drilled into me, but monitoring multiple frequencies within a, that's currently not going to be possible.
Well, that's good, but you know, and the bottom line is we do appreciate it. On the other side, I was thinking about also is I wear another hat with magazine, and we monitor different military channels, and it would be nice to be able to sort of schedule that up as well. So just something that, you know, I know it's not going to be here, but think about it for the future. Hey, we appreciate your good work, Andy.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Anybody have any other questions on the scheduler or anything else on the 1.41 release?
Yeah, I another question from the States here. Rich, November 8, Uniform X-Ray. And like Larry, I'm a big fan of the RSPDX. I do a lot of low band operating. The HDR mode is just fantastic. But my question regarding the scheduler is, sometimes I have to do a little resource management on the computer. I use the application PST Rotator to schedule antenna switching on my beverages for low band operating, and that's gonna just work great with the scheduler in Sdr Uno. But in the event scheduler, can I schedule changes of the ADC sample rate and decimation? Yes.
Yeah. So what you do, and again, it's very similar to what I was saying just there, is that you'd set up a profile. So you'd have you could have a 2 megahertz profile, or a 10 megahertz profile, or an 8 megahertz profile, or one with 32 decimation, and then for each event you just specify which profile to load. So when the event starts up, it'll load that profile, set Uno up as you want it in the profile, and then you can either do streaming or recording or whatever you want to do. But yes, you can change things like sample rate, decimation, anything you can change, and pretty much anything you can change in Sdr Uno, you can store to a profile and then recall that for each event.
Okay, that's great. That answers my question. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Okay, any others? So I don't really have anything else. But if there's any questions on that, I mean, obviously there's other things going on from a software perspective. We still support the API on different platforms, and there's different applications that are coming up. There's been some great work being done by a guy called Franco Venturi on the SOAP SDR Play library. So any application that supports SOAP SDR, there's some other SDR applications that use the SOAP SDR framework. Any of those will work really well now. Franco's done some really nice work on that, and that's a cross-platform system, so that'll work on any platform. The same guy has also done some source blocks for GNU Radio, so anybody wanting to use the RSP with the latest version of GNU Radio, there is a GitHub repository where you can go and get source blocks for that. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
I just want to ask a quick question, Andy.
Yeah.
Or not a question really, just a request. I know up at the local amateur radio club that there's 3 or 4 members that have actually purchased the RSPs across the board, various Duo DX and the older 1A, but they've never used them. They've never used them. They're sat in the box, and I think it's because they just don't know their way around or feel confident enough to maneuver their way around SDR Uno. So is there any chance that you could just, while we've got some time, just run through as a complete beginner the functionality of SDR Uno, what they would see, what would do what, just so that they can find out a bit more information, then perhaps have a play. Do you see what I mean? Is that possible?
Yeah, of course. I don't know if I can start it up now because I think my system seems to have locked up, and I don't want to have to restart it. No, it's all kind of gone a bit weird. I don't understand what's happened here. See, all these windows are all going.
You got one of those Bill Gates moments.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
You plug the printer and everything goes blue.
This has not happened to me before. So I don't quite know what's happening. I mean, what I can do, Andy, if it's more useful, is that if we could set up like a workshop.
Yeah. Okay.
So if we set up like a workshop and get, so if people can kind of get to, if we do it like a Zoom call, and if people can have their system in front of them, Uno and an RSP in front of them, we can just go through some very basic sort of simple controls, how to get set up, what the buttons do. I mean, I always say to people that Uno is as complicated or is as easy as you really want it to be. Yeah. I mean, you can just start up Uno, set your center frequency, set your mode, AM, FM, whatever, and just press play. I mean, it literally can just be as simple as that. A lot of people like to kind of go and tweak the audio, the de-emphasis and all that kind of stuff, which is great. Great that you can do that.
Yeah.
But if you just want to start listening, shortwave listening, or if FM, whatever, literally frequency, mode, play.
Yeah.
It is literally as easy as that. But yeah, if we want to, I mean, I'm happy to set up like a workshop.
Yeah,
maybe I don't know, like a weekend or
okay.
or whatever, really. If there's any interest in that, get some people together with their Uno and 1A and RSPs on a Zoom call, and then we can share screens. And if people have got issues, I can take them through, maybe where they've gone wrong.
Yeah, you can see it in real time then. So
Yeah.
No worries. Okay, then. Yep, we'll go for that.
Yeah, very happy to do that.
Yeah, brilliant. Cheers.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Okay, yeah, we can sort of try out different things, different plugins or different functionality. Maybe I can go through some of the, because with the support tickets, there are some themes that normally come through.
Yeah.
People have sort of a common one is where people have been sort of playing around with the noise blanking, and they don't realize that when they sort of change some other settings, maybe they've left the noise blanker off and they've just got a flat spectrum, and they think their RSP's dead.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you got your noise blanker on, turn your noise blanker off, and suddenly all the signals appear. It's little things like that that are quite easy to miss in Uno. I'm very happy to go through some of that stuff, some of the gotchas. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, appreciate that, because I know they've bought them, and obviously when I talk about doing any sort of DX work,
yeah,
I find it obviously an advantage that I can just click straight on, and I've got rig control as well through Uno, so I can just click on as soon as anybody starts sending out.
Yeah,
I just click it and I'm there straight away. So
I mean,
jump on the cluster.
Even that, we can go through DX clusters. We can go through setting up Omni rig, hooking the rig up to your transceiver.
Yeah.
Some of the issues around there, that people need to be aware of. We can cover all that kind of stuff. Very, very happy to do that.
Okay, we'll do that because that'll be really beneficial to several members that I know.
Yeah.
Have got the devices and haven't really explored any further than that.
So this is one of the things that used to go on at the rallies. You know, we'd have all the software and the hardware display on the stand. People would come up and they'd say, when I press this, it doesn't do what I expect it to do. And I can sit with them and I can take them through why it doesn't do it and how they can avoid doing, you know, what kind of got them in the, you know, in that state in the first place. And we've kind of missed that opportunity of people to come and talk to us. So yeah, very happy to do that, Andy.
Something like that would go down well. I mean, I've done exactly what you said. I've got the device, plugged it in. I was a shortwave listener from 8 years old. I just picked up where I left off. There's so much on here. You just like, yeah, I'm missing out on so much. I must be.
Well, I mean, obviously it's sort of a blessing and a curse, but one of the problems with SDR is that you can do so much, and some people just don't know where to start. And I always say to people, you know, forget the software, forget the hardware. What is it you want to have a go at? What you know, do you want to do some L-band listening? Do you want to do some decoding? Do you want to do some you know, some CW? Have a think about the sort of stuff you want to have a go at, and then let's look at, you know, maybe Sdr Uno isn't the most appropriate software for you. Maybe it's something else. But there will be, you know, if we can't help you directly, you know, there'll be plenty of videos and information out there. There can be a bit of information overload, you know. It's like, you know, you can do all this loads of stuff. But some people just kind of don't want that. They just want to kind of broken it right down to, I just want to do something very small to start with. But yeah, no, I'd be very happy to do that. Very happy.
Just watching you tonight, I mean, I've completely forgot about the plugins. I've looked at the plugins. I've just got the DAB up and running. I've downloaded the codec. I've got on my top band antenna, I've got 25 channels. Not bad for 30 odd foot of vertical antenna. Yeah, and it's just, you know, talking to people, seeing how other people use it and what other people do with it, and then, you know, try it yourself. I'm not a great DAB listener. I've got an Alexa, but at the end of the day, I'm going to play with it now it's there.
Yeah, it's like I said, there is so much stuff you can do with it. It doesn't all have to go for Sdr Uno. There is other software available to do. I mean, people use things like GNU Radio to prototype filters before they go ahead and make them. You know, they play around with the source blocks about different, you know, about how different, you know, building virtual radios in software, and using an RSP in that process. And you can do all that kind of stuff. There's loads you can do. But a lot of people do get kind of overwhelmed with the whole thing and end up doing nothing.
I'm even considering buying a knob from Amazon, so I'm missing something to spin. But other than that,
well,
hi John.
I've done some videos. I've done a video on controllers. I can show you a couple that I really like, and we've got in Sdr Uno. A great guy called Eddie McDonald has written a plugin to support these devices directly, but this is one of them. Whoops. Am I still connected? Hello?
Yep, you're still there.
Oh, okay. Something got disconnected somewhere. So I don't know if you can see that properly, but that's one of them. That's it's a Shuttle Pro, and it's got a dial in the middle, so it spins and spins and spins. This one's a jog wheel, so it goes only so far one way, then it goes so far the other way. All these buttons you can configure, and they're translucent, so you can put little labels in them to tell you what to do. And there's full support for that inside Sdr Uno via the plugin. And then there's its baby brother, which is it's called the Shuttle Express. Sorry, I'm just
Dusty.
it's so dusty in here. It's unbelievable. They don't let me out. It's kind of, they lock the door and make sure I don't go anywhere. Right. So this is the Shuttle Express, which is a Again, it's got the center wheel with the jog wheel that only goes certain. I think it's got 7 settings in each direction, the jog wheel, and then you've got some buttons that you can customize around the edge. So there's full support in Uno for these. I think the Express is like, I think on Martin Lynch it was like, last time I looked it was like 35, 40 quid or something. I think obviously the Shuttle Pro is a bit more expensive.
Yeah, this is really cheap solution anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen all sorts. I mean, people have got have sort of have taken you know, those little volume knobs you get, just a single. People have taken those apart and reconfigured them to be like just VFO controllers. So you can do that as like a mini project.
I got this one, Andy. It's a Griffin Power Mate.
Yeah, I've got that over here somewhere.
20 quid off Amazon.
Yeah,
I
got that.
And MLO got one as well.
That was funny. I started showing that at Friedrichshafen a couple of years ago. And a good friend of ours, Dennis, over at Benito, I said to him, you know, we're going to be showing these things. And he said, I'll bring a few along. He sold out.
Oh, wow.
When people saw these things, they went literally from, we was on the Funk 24 stand. They literally just went from there over to him and bought one. And it's, you know, once you're used to, a lot of people want to control frequency with the mouse. You know, you want to kind of have that dial feel, you know, like you've got on your transceivers. I mean, we support a lot, you know, we support the Teammate, you know, the Teammate controller. That's a very expensive box. It's got an LCD screen on it that shows you the power levels and stuff like that. That's a 200 quid box. That's quite expensive, for, you know, in my opinion, but we do support that as well. So yeah, I agree. I think a controller is a very useful addition, and you can, you know, online you can find projects where you can make them out of Arduinos.
I mean, I'm surrounded by valve kit. I've got HROs, AR88s, and, you know, loads of prehistoric kit. Love it to bits. And it's just the way of combining the two and completely messing my brain up.
Yeah, yeah.
No. And watching the screen.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's kind of funny. I've got so many Raspberry Pis and Arduinos that I've kind of bought and thought I'm going to do something with that, and they end up in the drawer. A little bit like what you were saying about the RSPs. You know, I know some people who have bought 1As, and I see them at events. I see them the following year, and I go, oh, you know, how'd you go with it? I didn't know how to start, so it ended up in the drawer. And I mean, we've all got stuff that we've bought like that, from one thing or another. But yeah, you can use an Arduino to make a controller, a VFO dial controller. So yeah.
Just going back to you saying about all the plugins. I mean, I'm looking at mine. I've got an audio recorder, DAB, DX cluster, and an MPX output. Where do I find additional plugins to? So
if you install, if you get the latest installer from us, it will include all of the community plugins. So there's been, like I said, there's one for the Contour controllers. Chris Malinsky over at Black Cat Software has done some plugins. I think he's got an audio equalizer. Plus, if anybody uses the Black Cat software, he's got an interface that interfaces Uno via the plugin to his software.
It does work very well.
Sorry?
It does work very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use it very often, yes.
Yeah, so there's that. There's some other plugins. A guy called Jan van Katwijk has created a number of plugins that you can find on his GitHub page. But if you can't find anything, email to software@sdrplay.com and I'll point you in the right direction.
You may get an email at some point, just so I can.
No problem.
What's the feedback, Andy, on the CW decoder and the RTTY decoder? Is there any?
So the way he's. I mean, I don't know if you've tried them.
No, I haven't.
They work. You just have to set Uno up in the right way. Okay. You've got to set a 2 megahertz spectrum with a 32 decimation.
Right.
Now, there is a better way to implement that in the plugin where you don't have to. It's a kind of a shame that you've got all this spectrum available to you, but you've got to narrow it down to 60 kilohertz before you can do anything. A better way would be to leave the spectrum at 2 megahertz wide, so you can see where the signals are, and then for the plugin to do the heavy load for you, and just get the 60 kilohertz of spectrum it needs. So I think there are improvements to those plugins that can be made, but if you do that, if you set 2 megahertz with a 32 decimation, they do work. They do work.
Okay, fair enough.
There are some other plugins that will be coming fairly soon. We're working with some other people on helping that go forward, and also I will be talking to the existing plugin developers. Eric Cottrell he's done Fran and some other bits and pieces for all of these guys to add the auto start feature so that they will start from the scheduler. At the moment, the scheduler will only kick off certain plugins. So the community developers will need to add in a very small bit of code that I'll give them into their plugins, which will make them sort of compatible with the scheduler. And I'm hoping we can get that done for when the final release is there. So that'd be quite nice as well. So you'd be able to kick off any plugins with the scheduler, which would be quite nice.
Andy, you mentioned the development of 141 and 142 kind of paralleling each other. Would you care to hazard a guess? I'm really interested in the TCP server. Hazard any guess as to when we might see a rough beta that might have that server capability?
Unfortunately, I can't really give you a date. I mean, it's really the first time that it's happened, and normally these things are sequential because there's only one of me, but it's been quite nice that we've had other people working on the TCP server, and they've developed a client that then will drop into Uno. So what will happen is when you start Uno up, this network device will appear as another device. It'll just appear as just another device that you can use. And then once you're in it, all the functions in Uno just operate as they would before. So I can't say it's going to be, it's not going to be within a couple of weeks of 1.41, but it's I don't know. It's so difficult to say. I mean, it's what I'll be joining those guys as soon as 1.41 is out. So, and it'll be my job to get the client in Uno working, because the server side is really advanced. We had some technological challenges with the server, and they've all been sorted out. So that's been great. And the server side is really the most important part of this, because I don't know if anybody's used the TCP server that sort of exists at the moment, which was forked from the RTL TCP server. I mean, it works. I can't really say anything more than it works. It doesn't work great. It's got some issues.
I use it on multi-PSK and it does not work very well.
No, and I can understand that. So we've kind of we've got a whole brand new TCP architecture. It's not compatible with the TCP server. It doesn't have any relationship. It's not based on it. It's not got any relationship to it. But by developing that from scratch, we've been able to do what I think is a good job. So a very good job, and it will support, like I say, it will support high bandwidth scenarios, low bandwidth scenarios. It's a real nice system. So as soon as 1.41, as soon as everybody says the open beta is great, 1.41 is released, that's where I'll be, is getting 1.42 ready. So,
is that server will run on a Pi?
Sorry?
Is the server will run on a Pi?
The server will run on a Raspberry Pi, Mac, Linux, box, Windows.
That's
any
great.
any platform.
Can
Yeah.
see it's going to be a bit of a game changer, isn't it? I've been waiting for it for
Well,
2 years when you first mentioned it to me. 2 years.
yeah.
Yeah, it would be good.
I mean, a lot of people do have. It's kind of funny how these things kind of come in waves. I mean, a couple of years ago, the thing that everybody kept banging on about, we want a scanner, get a scanner. So we did a scanner, and then that kind of, I don't really hear a lot of people talking about scanners now. I don't know why, but now the wave is now about remote access.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody uses virtual here, but when we came across virtual here, that was a game changer for me. Being able to use the full data rate on a Raspberry Pi on your local area network from a different part of the building or your network, that to me was a great step forward. But we do lack this ability to have the wide area connection, which we need. We've got. I know that we've got people who have got antennas in very remote locations. They want to operate. The antennas where it needs to be. The software is where it needs to be. There's a big gap in between, right? So we think we've got a really good solution for that, and we're really excited to kind of get that done and get that out. Really,
that's good. I'm looking forward.
Yeah.
To
Yeah. I mean, it's been a. I mean, I'd say. I mean, the plugin system was was definitely a game changer. The guys like Eric Cottrell who sort of jumped on that and started coding up plugins was great. It's fantastic because it makes me feel a bit better about myself not being the sole bottleneck, for development. It was kind of it can kind of get to you a little bit. So it was a great relief to get the plugin system done. The scanner was just that came together really, really, really nicely, and I think it works pretty well. I mean, I'm not saying all of that because it's something I've done. All of these things that we do is a team effort. I can't say this is all me. it's not at all. But we make these things better because of the feedback we get from the community, and because the community essentially drives the development. All of what we're doing now is stuff that we've been asked by the community. We're not adding a scheduler because we want to do it. We're adding a scheduler because we've been asked to do it.
Yeah.
And that's how we've done all of the Sdr Uno development. It's been driven by what the community wants. And so it's just unfortunate that the way things are. I think certain things have taken a bit longer than we've wanted or anyone's wanted. And we just can't wait to get that version 2 done. And start seeing Uno running on Linux and Macs.
Yeah.
Natively, because obviously you can do it via a virtual machine, but natively it would be nice to see Uno running on those platforms.
Yeah, it's good.
And have all of those windows sticky together.
Yes, so version 2 will have the ability to lock the windows together.
Yeah, it drives me crazy, man.
Yeah. Well, it's so weird. When we acquired Studio One, and it had this, when I started playing with it, I thought, because I've got like a 5 monitor setup, and I just thought, this is fantastic. I can have a window there. I can have a window over there. I can have one up there. But then when we so I didn't see what a lot of people were kind of with single monitor situations was sort of saying, it's all crowded. It kind of, none of it sticks together. Windows overlap and they don't kind of, so I didn't kind of see that problem when we first launched Sdr Uno. And so that's when we decided that we've got to do something about this. So we did the auto layout. So at least you can have an arrangement that where all the windows don't overlap. And now in Uno, at least they lock to the, I don't know if you noticed, but the windows will snap to the edge of the screen. So if you move a window and it gets near the screen, it will snap to the edge of it. So that sort of slightly helps you in that regard. But yeah, no, version 2 will have the ability to lock these windows together.
Yeah, I'm looking for it because I don't know if you heard about these problems, but I have 2 screens. One is UHD and the other one is HD. And I'm working on the UHD one. Mainly the HD is just for information, you know, I don't know, website or something like this. But if I want to use the HD screen, because I take my laptop downstairs to the garden, something like this, then I have to rearrange all of the windows. And I have a setup, you know, I have one of those workspace saved. It works once in a while, not every time. I will send you a screenshot because it's really interesting. But it seems that Sdr Uno does not go very well with 2 different resolution.
It's true to say it doesn't deal with 4K very well.
It doesn't deal very well with 4K.
No,
that's true.
That's known.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a 4K monitor. I mean, that's somewhat the problem I just had here. I've got a 4K monitor in the middle of two 1080p monitors, and it doesn't like moving between them very, you know, very
this
well.
is a problem.
Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it works beautifully, and other times it doesn't.
It's exactly what I said. It works once in a while.
Yeah. Now that's a known issue. Yeah.
And of course, when I'm going down, I'm always late. Then I miss part of my opportunity, but that's my fault.
Yeah, it's I mean, 4K support is something that's on my. I've got a separate to the major functions in Uno. I've kind of got a to-do list that I've been building myself, things that I've noticed, and proper 4K support is on that list.
Ah, great. That would be great also. Yeah.
Can we just
I'm not in a hurry for that anyway.
Can we just have a quick ad break?
Ad break.
Yeah, can we have an ad break? Because we've had all this. It's been fantastic, Andy. So thank you very much. I mean, that's for sure. Very, very interesting. I can't wait. I just need to get half a dozen. There's somebody I know that's just bought 4 HD monitors to put together massively. Not for this. I'm just thinking, perhaps I won't go for the 4 HDs. I'll just go for the 1080s. You know, that might be easy. Or maybe I'll just buy a new car. But, you know.
Well, I use a mixture of both, and it does work. What we've just been talking about is if you continually want to move certain windows between them, then you get kind of funny effects sometimes. But if you're just working on the 4K or you're just working on the 1080, then it all works fine.
Yeah, so we're going to have this ad break. I wanted to share my screen for a minute because I'm doing this deliberately, Andy, before you disappear, because you're only up the road from us, and I want to make sure that you know what's going on. So, you might already know this, but let's just pop it up.
Sounds scary.
It's not scary at all. Most of you know what it is. Okay, so you should be able to see that.
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
good.
That's it.
Okay. So basically, I just want to remind everybody that the Grand Field Day is on August the 22nd. Andy and I went for that date because we thought that the controls for COVID and everything would be gone by then, and it looks like we hit on a good date because it likely is to be not reintroduced again. That's like a double negative, isn't it? But there we are. So just to say that just to remind everyone, it is free. It doesn't cost anything. You don't have to worry about queuing up or anything. The gates sort of open for visitors at 10 and finishes at 4. It's a good old-fashioned idea. Just come along, chat, natter. We are going to have some people selling things. That's not main dealers, mainly because I haven't asked them. If you want to come along, Andy, please do. Feel free. If you want to bring a table along or something, you know, it's up to you. I've got some people selling like boot fair effects. a table they're bringing along. We've got some others who are going to be showing different rigs and different means of operating, etc. So there's going to be quite a lot going on. It's all free to us. We don't have to pay a penny to put this on. And the reason for that is because the trust that runs the windmill are desperately trying to raise money through their canteen and their barbecue and their cups of tea. They've got to try and raise 30 grand over the next year or so. And so if people like us come along and we can just buy the food and drink from them, then they're happy to let us have all the facilities. And it's a big field. We can get a lot of parking on it. And we can do all sorts of things. We can get that for free. So I won't be too happy if I see loads of people bringing sandwiches, if I'm honest, guys. You know, and bring thermos flasks, that would be a bit unfair. And they've just had a food inspection, and they've come out excellent. So the food's not only good, it's clean and healthy. You won't go out with anything. But I just need to know roughly how many people are coming. So it's at the moment, I know there's at least 20 people coming, but everyone else is telling me, oh, we're coming. There's one hell of a guesstimate, because I have to ring them up in a week's time and give them an idea of how many burgers and sausages to get for the barbecue. So I'm going to say to them about 100 people is what I'm going to say. But it's either going to be very successful, hopefully the weather's all right, it's either going to be very successful or it is going to be a complete flop. I'm hoping it's going to be successful. You know, just don't expect it to be like Pickett's Lock used to be, if those of you that remember that, or Bath, or Longleat Rally. Do you remember those? Some of you. It's not going to be like, oh, no, I'm just nodding. I'm glad someone remembers. But it's going to be, the ethos is to have fun, have a natter, meet people, celebrate the fact they're still alive after COVID, and there are no stupid questions. So any newbies come along and say, so how do I put this on here? We can help without anyone feeling out of place or awkward or anything. So that's the general gist. Please pass it around to everyone. Andy, not my Andy, and the other Andy, you know, if you do want to come along and do a demo or anything, then, you know, you just have to bring your own power. Yeah. But or just come along for the laugh.
I mean, yeah, certainly if I can, I'd like to come and you know, I'm happy to kind of, you know, talk to people, and we can talk about different things about SDR. Very happy to do that. I'll have to see whether about, I mean, maybe I could bring a laptop and do a few little bits and pieces. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll work out what I can do and let Andy know.
Yeah. Cheers. Thank you. End of advert break, everyone. You can put the kettle off now and come back in the room.
What you need, Andy, is you need somebody to be near somebody who's got a generator. That's exactly what you need.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can bring I can bring a laptop and an RSP, and we can have a little look at some things. We don't necessarily need power. I'll have a little think.
Yeah, have a think about what you
want.
Yeah. I'll be running.
I mean, I've got a big battery that I used for camping. But yeah, I'm sure I can work something.
Okay.
I'll need to check with the boss what's happening that weekend.
May the force be with you, Andy.
If she was here this evening, you know, she'd be able to give us the green light, but unfortunately she isn't. So. But I'll check. Yeah, I'd like to come. I mean, it'd be nice to do something. You know, I was trying to think of the last event I went to, and I can't even think.
No, it's not good, is it? Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
It's almost like a whole year has been lost.
18 months.
Or 18 months. Yeah.
And actually, the whole ethos of this is to celebrate and get people out, meeting others and having a laugh and enjoying and talking and celebrating. And it's not meant to be a money exercise. We haven't even got a bank account for this. So no. We don't want money. What we want is people. and but not expecting something which is going to be like a massive RSGB convention or something. It's not that. It's much more low key and helping each other and having a fun time.
Yeah,
that's
well,
advert too.
In this side of Kent, Andy, there's been a lot of new licensees. There's been a bit of an influx of newly licensed guys who haven't had the benefit of meeting other amateurs, more established amateurs, and actually, picking up and gaining experience from them, because there's been no clubs for 18 months. So they've really been a little bit out of touch. The only thing that they've managed to get any form of input is from YouTube videos, perhaps, or Facebook, but that's only one author's opinion, if you like, rather than, a general, overview of things. So we're trying to, what we've been doing with Ham Radio Network is working with guys that are, and ladies that are newly licensed or returning, and we've held some small low-key field days in small groups just to help them with operating and develop operating skills. That's been working quite well. John's been doing a lot of those. So yeah,
well, I'm part of that Facebook group. So if anybody's got any SDR questions, they just tag me on it, and I'm very happy to kind of jump on and in the Facebook group and answer any questions anyone's got. Doesn't have to be about RSP specific. I mean, it'd be nice if it was, but just SDR in general. I'd be very happy to kind of jump on the Facebook group and help anybody.
Yeah, that's good.
But